Hello, welcome to the Happy Families podcast. I know it's just been Mother's Day and I'm not supposed to get that excited about September and Father's Day yet, but if you have a man in your life, a hubby, a father, a dad who doesn't like to read, I've got the perfect Father's Day present. It's a book. I know that sounds weird, but I've just finished reading the most amazing book and I've reached out to the author and asked if he would come on my podcast and he said yes. The book is called Let It Be Tough. It's the story of Ant Williams, a two-time world record holder in ice diving. And when I say ice diving, I'm talking long breath holds, diving 70 plus meters under the ice or swimming 180 plus meters under an ice shelf. I mean, this stuff is extreme. It's frightening. Let It Be Tough is about mental toughness. It's about resilience. It's gripping. Oh my goodness, I couldn't put it down. I read it in like 2 reading sessions and we're talking 280 pages of writing. Like this is a proper book and it just has so many great stories. And Ant is going to join me next to talk about his book, Let It Be Tough, and also why every dad needs this for Father's Day in September. Get it now, though. We're going to talk to Ant next on the Happy Families podcast. Stay with us. G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson, and today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, but also somebody that I've looked up to from the minute that I met him, because of the extraordinary life that he's lived and the things that he's done. And now it's published in a memoir called Let It Be Tough. Ant Williams, welcome to the Happy Families podcast.
Thank you, Justin. What an amazing introduction. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
There are some people who, when you spend time with them, they elevate you. They enlarge you. They just make you feel like you're a better person or you can be a better person than who you are. You're one of those people for me. And I wish we got to spend more time together. I think you and I talk to each other maybe once or twice a year. And we get together face-to-face once every 5 years. So I'm really delighted to have you on the podcast. You've heard my introduction. You know how much I've raved about the book. So let's just crack straight into it. I want to start with a question. You've dived under the ice to 70, how many meters? 70,
I
72,
think the world
73?
record is 70 meters.
Yeah, something like 70 meters. So that means that you've held your breath and swum 140 meters because you had to get down there and then you had to get back up. And you had to get back up to the same hole that you went into because you're on an ice lake in the Arctic Circle. And then you swam the longest distance ever swum under the ice, 182 meters, performed in total darkness in essentially as close to 0 degree water as you can get. You've coached big wave surfers, MotoGP riders, extreme sports competitors. Are you a thrill seeker?
No, definitely not a thrill seeker.
Sorry,
I could understand why
everybody just spilt their coffee when you said no, right?
Yeah. Well, I can understand from the outside and looking at what I do and making that very quick assumption that I am a risk taker. Well, no, to use your words, that I'm a thrill seeker, someone who's quite reckless. But actually, it couldn't be further from the truth. I see myself as someone who does take positive, calculated risks. But what you don't see is just how controlled it is, how much preparation goes in, how many years of practice and training and development goes in to get to the point where you can progressively learn how to take on these types of challenges. And there's real magic in doing it once you get to that point. There are incredibly thrilling adventures to be able to go and have. And so, no, I don't see myself as someone who's a thrill seeker. I'm just someone who loves to put themselves into unique challenges and engineer everything around it so that I can perform at my best despite the pressures that I'm putting myself under.
I look at the story of your life. You're a sports psychologist. You found yourself in the deep end coaching extreme sports people. In fact, you found yourself in a very deep end when you were literally put in front of a room of football players with no notice whatsoever and supposed to motivate them to get through a game that they were convinced they were going to lose, a high-stakes game. The whole book, Let It Be Tough, is about performing under pressure. Performing under pressure, in many cases, in life-threatening, death-defying situations. But right now, as a parenting expert, and this is the reason that I got you on here, like we can talk about your extraordinary exploits. I just want people to read the book. It's so much fun. But the thing that I'm coming up against again and again and again, almost daily, is parents who say, my kids don't want to do hard things. My kids, they feel a little bit of pressure and they shrink. They hide behind my legs, and then they look at me with serious expressions and say things like, "And I want my 3-year-old to do better."
But I think you're onto something here.
Well, whether they're 3 or 13 or 23, parents are consistently saying that their kids are not resilient like we were. Now, there is some data to support that. I actually think that quite often we forget just how nervous we were when we were in certain situations and how much we didn't want to do things and how many things we probably bailed on. But consistently, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school camp. I don't want to do the oral presentation. I don't want to do the exam. I don't want to try out for the team. I don't want to try out for the theater. This stuff comes up again and again and again. Using all of your psychology background, your sports psych, you're working with extreme athletes, your own under pressure performance requirements, what are one or two things that jump out at you as things that parents might do to help their kids when they're facing pressure and they're saying, I can't, it's too hard?
Well, I think the first thing is that as parents, we play such a vital role in shaping their response to pressure. I mean, we all want our kids to participate in things that they enjoy and also encourage them through those moments of things that when they start to get tough. So it might be the surf life-saving tournament where the waves are a little bit bigger today. It might be the exam where they just think, I'm no good at mathematics. In all these situations, how we respond is so critical because we want them to be able to cope in those moments, and it's going to have such a big character building effect on them in that moment and through their lives. These are skills that they're going to take for the rest of their life. And so what we do in terms of how we work with them to participate, encourage and support them is huge. We want them to be able to make mistakes and errors, suffer losses and failures, and normalize it. We want that to be okay. That's just part of life skills and learning how to cope when things don't go your way. And so we need to be there to support them and challenge them and encourage them. But we've got to get this balance right of to what extent we push them into things versus take a backseat where it's more, my role is to encourage and to make sure that they're challenging themselves without overstepping their mark. So I love the question you posed. So what do we do? So I think the first thing that we do is we need to get this balance right between challenging them and supporting them. So if you're a parent that always says, oh, you don't have to do it if this makes you feel uncomfortable, then our level of challenge is too low.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the parent who says, your emotions should be what guides all of our decisions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right. So if we're allowing the child their emotions to guide all the decisions, then what's the child learning in this? What's the child going to steer towards? It's going to steer towards you being the person who rescues them and comes in as a shield. But we don't want you as a shield. We want you as a safety net if they're in there and things do go wrong. But we don't want you as a shield because the shield gets in the way. It's like you become the crutch. You take over the responsibility if things are uncomfortable or I don't like them.
Yeah, the analogy that I always use here is that there are dragons in everyone's lives and our children have got to go and slay the dragon. And if we keep running forward with the shield and the sword and slaying the dragon for the kids, then they don't get... But they've, of course, got to decide that this is a dragon worth slaying as well, right? Like they're not going to go and fight a dragon that we've decided, we've picked for them. They've got to have some say in it.
There's always the risk that as parents, we push our kids into the things that we love or that we were good at.
Yes.
Right? Because we live vicariously through seeing them succeed in these things. But if they don't enjoy it, they're far less likely to be pushing through and being resilient in the moments where those things get tough. Whereas if it's something that they genuinely want to succeed at, want to get better at, the social group of other kids doing this thing is their people and they relate to them, they're far more likely without as much support from you to learn all these lessons in a really favorable way.
Hey, we need to take a quick break, but after the break, what I think might be the toughest question every parent will face when they're under pressure themselves and the kids are watching. That's next. Stay with us. We're back. It's the Happy Families podcast. I'm talking today to Ant Williams, the author of Let It Be Tough, which if you have not already jotted it down, and we will link to it in the show notes, but if you haven't put it down on your list for, I need to buy this for my hubby or my partner or my dad or somebody for Father's Day, it should be on the top of your list. It's the best. Don't even wait for Father's Day. Just buy it today. He'll have it read by the weekend. It's that good. Anyway, and I want to hit you up with a couple of lightning round questions because these are my favorite interview questions. They're the ones where you really don't want to pick a side. You really want to come in with the it depends and start to extrapolate, but you're not allowed. You've got like 5 seconds. As few words as possible to answer the question.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Your kid is melting down in the supermarket. Perform under pressure or quietly abandon the trolley and pretend you don't know them?
Stay with them. Stay really present, but don't console to the point where they get away with it, and find a chance later in a moment where the emotions have run down to be able to reflect on it with them.
The next one, tricky one, but best pressure building experience that you can give a child that doesn't involve some sort of organized sport.
Look, I think exposure to challenge in any area is going to be helpful as long as it's a manageable step for them. Kids need evidence to know that they can build their confidence, right? So they need evidence that things are working, that they can push through. So don't make it too tough too soon. Give them small steps and let them see for themselves.
Finish this sentence. The most underrated thing that parents can do, most underrated thing that parents can do to raise resilient kids is?
Let them see you taking on challenges and staying calm and composed, but also sharing your real fears. So don't hide it. Actually actually think out loud for them. Well, this is terrifying. I'm going to give it a go anyway.
A parent who wraps their kid in cotton wool versus a parent who throws them in the deep end. Who's doing more damage?
Long term, the person who wraps them in cotton wool. And I know that's controversial because the other obviously has the... we have a visceral reaction to the parent who pushes too hard on their kids. But if I were to pick between one of these for my kids, I would say I would rather push them a little bit too hard than wrap them in cotton wool and see them fail to learn the most vital lessons that life is going to challenge them on how to stay resilient and how to cope with anxiety.
I love your response there. Okay. You and I could talk for days. In fact, when we get together, we definitely feel like we can talk for days. And the last question today, because this is our podcast for time poor parents who just want answers now, is this. Kids are always watching how we respond to pressure. You are the perform under pressure guy. You're the guy who says, let it be tough. What are some simple ways that parents can model a healthy response to challenge and setbacks? Because we all experience them every single day, whether it's getting cut off in traffic, which is minor, but sometimes when it happens, we act like it's not minor, it's major, through to either a diagnosis or the loss of a job or an inability to pay a mortgage or cost of living, or, it's just such a long list. What are the best ways that we can model healthy responses to these challenges and setbacks?
Well, firstly, I think just that mindset of knowing that we must stay composed when things go wrong. Our reaction becomes their template. So what we do is going to show up for them right throughout their lives. It's the reality. I work with leaders who still struggle. Like the number one thing I'm teaching leaders the last 15 years is how to have a difficult conversation without getting too emotional. Is how to give someone feedback on their performance without masking or hiding the things that you don't actually like about their performance. It's all these things, right? So we need to make sure that we have this sense of calm about us when we're going through those moments, right, for ourselves. So when we get cut off in traffic, that sort of thing. There's a couple of things that you can do. Like there's this really simple thing that that I like to encourage people to do. When you know you face moments of stress, I'm going to stick with your example, Justin. So you've got a 45-minute commute to drop the kids at school and then get to work. And you know that when someone cuts you off in traffic, it's a trigger for you, right? So what you do is at the start of that, you go, today I'm going to be like a fish swimming in an ocean. And as I'm swimming through this ocean, there are going to be all these fish lines coming down with hooks on them. And my job is to spot those fish hooks today when I'm driving through traffic. It'll be the car that swerves in front of me without indicating. It'll be the guy who winds down his window and yells some abuse at me. Or the person who's right on my butt, tailgating me. And I'm going to go, that's a fish hook. And if I bite that, I'm out of the game. And my kids are going to go, oh, Dad's someone who always flares up and gets angry. And maybe that's what we're supposed to do. So instead, I'm going to swim around those fish hooks, recognize those as fish hooks because I'm the one who's in control of my emotional reaction to what's happening around me. No one else can control that but me. And therefore, if I don't bite a fish hook, I get to the school drop-off and I feel great. I get to work and I feel relaxed. That is the outcome I want to start my day.
Don't bite the hook. I love it. So simple. So simple. So simple. And it's also the kind of thing that you can teach kids when they're fighting with each other and squabbling. And thanks so much for being with me and for making my day by sharing your stories and your insights that can help parents on the Happy Families podcast.
Well, thank you, Justin. Thank you so much for your generous praise about my stories in my book. I hope others enjoy it. Incidentally, I think I've got a suspicion that more females are buying this book than men at this stage. So it's a good read. Doesn't matter if Father's Day are coming up or not.
Yeah, I didn't mean to just put it straight into a box there. My wife, Kylie, has also spent considerable time in this book and loved it and was blown away by the stories. So
awesome.
Yeah. We will link to Let It Be Tough by Ant Williams in the show notes. I recommend it highly. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides our research and additional support. And if you would like more info about making your family happier, visit happyfamilies.com.au.